I gotta tell you, it feels so good to be with all of you again and to be here in San Antonio and to have the chance to partner with the working women and working men of this community who have been on the front lines each and every day through the toughest years that we have ever experienced. We have an opportunity, all of us together, not as Democrats, not as Republicans, but as Texans, to be there for one another right now. And to make sure that we get back to focusing on the big things together in Texas, like making sure that those frontline workers who put their lives on the line for all of us, whether you work in healthcare, whether you're in the hospitality industry here in the hospitality capital of Texas in San Antonio, you showed up to work every day to make sure that this state and this country could keep working. And I want to make sure that we now have your back and that you are paid a living wage, that you can see a doctor or fill a prescription whenever you need it so you're healthy enough to be able to go to work, that you can count on the fact that those educators in your kids' public schools are going to be paid their true worth and value and have the support that they need so that they can deliver world-class public education to every single child in this state. We're going to get back to the big things again that unite us, that bring us together, and get us past the division, the smallness, the meanness of this moment. I mean, think about this. A law signed by our governor that places a bounty on the heads of every woman in this state who wants to make her own decisions about her own body and for her own future. Think about this. Police chiefs, members of law enforcement, who have one of, if not the most important jobs in our communities, who put that badge on every day, put their lives on the line for all of us, pleading with the governor not to sign a permitless carry law that will allow any person in this state to carry a loaded gun in public without background check, without any training whatsoever, despite the fact that this state has 4 of the worst mass shootings in the United States history just in the last 5 years. Think about this. He's pitting us against each other, having us argue about which middle school girls can play which athletic sports, instead of getting us back to focusing on the big things, ensuring that the best jobs in America are created right here in the state of Texas. The best public schools and the best public educators right here in the state of Texas. And then we make progress on common sense things that all of us agree on, like expanding Medicaid, bring tens of billions of dollars into communities like San Antonio, make sure that people can see a doctor, make sure that we can hire more doctors, and for any of you who are sick and tired of your property tax bill, bring those bills down as we ease the pressure by bringing in federal money. It makes a lot of sense to me. And here's another one, that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you live in a small town or a big city, you can probably agree on. It is time for us to legalize marijuana in the state of Texas. Why in the world are we locking up our fellow Texans for possession of a substance that is legal in most of the rest of the country right now? Let's make sure that we respect and trust one another going forward, because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. I just spoke with the president of the Texas AFL-CIO, Rick Levy. And I told him, I want to be his partner in this campaign. I want to be his partner as governor, not for the benefit of the AFL-CIO, not for the benefit of Beto O'Rourke, not for the benefit of the Democratic Party, but for the benefit of all working Texans. I want to make sure that we trust his leadership, those members who work day in and day out, making this the great state that it is, and that we listen to and learn from them on the things that are going to make us even more competitive going forward. When we think about the challenge of climate change, AFL-CIO was already there. Those iron workers, those electricians, those men and women who work day in and day out building up this state have come up with a plan that will produce more than 1 million new energy jobs in this state to complement and add to the very important oil and gas jobs that we already have here in Texas. I trust the men and women of labor, and I'm going to work with them. I trust women to make their own decisions about their own bodies. I trust members of law enforcement and police chiefs when they say we don't want permitless carry bills signed into law. We want to make sure that we can serve and protect everyone in our community. And ladies and gentlemen, I trust the voters of Texas. I want to make sure that our elections are free and fair, and every eligible voter can participate and decide the outcome. And most importantly, más importante que todo, I trust you. You know better than anyone what's most important for you, for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids. I'm going to be your partner in this race. I don't come here to talk at you, to tell you what I am going to do. I come here to seek partnership and collaboration and find out how we are going to work together again, bridge these divides, get Texas back on the right track, and be big again in this state. Are you all with me? Well, I want you to know that I'm with you too. And I got to tell you, it is so encouraging to see so many of you out here today. This is the second day of the campaign. We were officially in just 24 hours ago, which is when we began to send the word out about what was going to be a very small meeting here in San Antonio. But there's no coming to or getting out of San Antonio without being here and having the chance to see you and to thank you. And I want to tell you this. I promise you, I will give this campaign, this race, and this effort every ounce of my being. And I know that I speak for Amy, my wife, and our kids, Ulysses and Molly and Henry, who, by the way, are all too happy that I'm out of the house now after 2 years of being together. We commit ourselves totally to you and for the people of Texas, but I'm going to ask this from you. No candidate could do this. No political party will win this. It has got to be all of us deciding that we're going to put all of ourselves into this effort. There is too much on the line at this moment to do otherwise. And think about this. It's the day after the election. It's November 9th, 2022. And you're waking up and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, or your kids have walked into the bedroom and you're looking at them in the eyes, or you're looking at that picture of your grandkids who maybe live in a different city or a different state. And I want you to think about what's going to be running through your mind at that moment. Did you do enough? Did we meet this moment? Were you willing to put everything that you had into this effort to make sure that Texas could rise to its full potential? I want that answer to be yes from every single one of you. Are you with me on this? So let's do this. I know we've just gotten started, but we have less than a year left to us. If you haven't already, please go to the website. It's betofortexas.com and sign up. And just to be clear, signing up is insufficient. Retweeting what I post on Twitter won't get it done. Telling your friends on Facebook how important that is, it is nice, but it's not going to win the election. I'm going to ask you to work. I'm going to ask you to knock on the doors of complete strangers and have conversations about one of the two things you should never talk about in polite company, which is politics. I'm going to ask you to make phone calls. I'm going to ask you to contribute whatever you can. $10, $25. Those of you who have some spare change in your pocket, $100. Make sure that we have the resources to reach each and every single Texan. Democrats, for sure. Independents as well. And we're not giving up on Republicans. They are welcome in this campaign too. We're going everywhere, talking to everyone. You cannot be too rural, too big city, too border, too blue, too red for this campaign. We're about everyone, and we're doing this for the people of Texas. And it is the honor of my life to be in this with you. Are you ready, San Antonio? I've just been asked to say something in Spanish, and I want to make sure that we get this message out, because if we're reaching everyone, we got to reach everyone. Me estoy postulando para gobernador del estado de Texas, para servir a cada persona, en cada comunidad, en cada parte de este estado. Vamos a hacer juntos, republicanos, demócratas y independientes también. Juntos vamos a ganar. ¿Listos? ¿Listos? Now, after this incredible hospitality from Charles and Geronimo and CWA, Rick Levy and Linda, who is my hero in this fight, our district attorney and other council members and people in positions of public trust who've taken some time out of their day, I want to say thank you to you all. But now, the most important part of this meeting, the mariachis. Ready? Hey, but first, y primero, most importantly actually than that, it turns out that Mayor Ron Nirenberg is here. Ladies and gentlemen, warm welcome to the mayor.
Okay, so this is what San Antonio looks like. Let's give a warm welcome to Beto. He's been in this city before, many times before, and so we thank you, Beto, for being a friend to our city. We have a lot of work to do up in Austin, don't we? And I want to say thank you to everybody here who's been working so hard. We have so many people from across the city, teachers, grocery store clerks, nurses, doctors, families who have been through so much in the last couple of years. We've been pulling together to get through, and here we are today to support somebody who we know is going to be working with us instead of against us.
Hey, that means the world to me. Thank you, Mayor. Tell you what, are the mariachis ready? Okay, so the mariachis are coming up. Let me say this. I mentioned trust earlier, and we've got to trust Mayor Ron. We've got to trust these council members. We've got to trust local communities in a pandemic in which we lost 72,000 lives. It was leaders at the local level. Those school board trustees that I met earlier inside, those teachers, those council members, those public health officials who were doing everything in their power to protect the lives in their care. And we had a governor who would not listen and trust them, and in fact, issued anti-mask mandates that prevented them from delivering the care that they needed. And when those teachers said, can you make sure that we're wearing masks in the classrooms so that we protect the lives of those kids that we have already given so much of our lives to? In the education that we provided, in the supplies that we paid for out of our own pocket, in those warm meals when we knew the kid was on the free and reduced breakfast and lunch but didn't have a dinner to look forward to, and I paid for that too out of my own pocket. Now I want to keep that kid alive. Will you make sure that we can wear a mask? And the governor said no. And you know what? As of September, this state, this proud, beautiful state of 30 million people, led the country in childhood COVID deaths. That's the consequence of not trusting and listening and working with one another. So let's remember what's at stake in this race. Let's support great local leaders like Mayor Ron Nirenberg. And let's get back to coming together. Ladies and gentlemen, the mariachis. Yeah.